everyone and welcome to yet another episode of Immigration and Settlement with फरियाल हुसैन। जी हाँ, मैं हूँ फरियाल हुसैन और ये शो आपका शो है। और आपका शो इसलिए है क्योंकि मैंने पार्ट 1 ऑफ फैमिली क्लास किया था लास्ट वीक और आज पार्ट 2 के लिए मेरे पास एक और एजेंडा था, एक प्लान था, बट आई गॉट सो मेनी क्वेश्चंस रिगार्डिंग पार्ट 1, सो आई थॉट पार्ट 2 बाद में भी हो जाएगा। लेट्स आंसर दोज क्वेश्चंस, हिट व्हेन द आयरन इज़ हॉट। ये शो इमिग्रेशन के बारे में भी है, सेटलमेंट के बारे में भी है। दिस इज़ द सेकेंड पार्ट ऑफ अ 4-part सीरीज अबाउट फैमिली क्लास स्पॉन्सरशिप। फैमिली क्लास स्पॉन्सरशिप बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होती है। वाई? बिकॉज फैमिली इज़ इंपॉर्टेंट। I'm not saying friends are not important. I'm not saying your work colleagues are not important, but family is family. Especially ये pandemic में I think हम लोगों ने ज़्यादा इस चीज़ को सीख लिया है कि how important family is. जब आप travel नहीं कर सकते, अपनी family को मिल नहीं सकते, वीज़ा हाथ में होने के बावजूद you cannot get on a flight, then you realize कि family का करीब होना, पास होना कितना ज़रूरी है. And that's why family reunification is one of the objectives of IRPA. IRPA क्या है? It's the regulation of immigration. It is Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. ये बहुत वर्डी सी चीज़ है. Basically, this is the law that all immigration officers apply or should apply. जी हाँ, I used to be an immigration officer. I worked for 16 years at the Canadian High Commission in Islamabad. आप में से बहुत लोगों के मैंने वीज़े भी इशू किए होंगे, शायद 3-4 के रिफ्यूज़ भी किए होंगे. I'm sorry, I was just doing my job, but now I'm here to help you in whatever your immigration and citizenship needs are. So now let's get into the show. Please take notes because अगर ये आपकी हेल्प नहीं कर सकते, हो सकता है ये इन्फॉर्मेशन किसी और की भी हेल्प कर सके. ठीक? So I got about 16 questions, जिसमें से मैंने 10-12 चूज़ किए हैं जो I thought would cover a whole span of issues regarding sponsorship, particularly spousal sponsorships. The first question is very interesting and nobody has asked me this before. What does the first question on the IMM 1344 mean? 1344 वो application का portion है. It's called the application to sponsor. Okay? तो ये वो application का form होता है जो कि sponsor को भी sign करना होता है और applicant को भी sign करना होता है. भले आप अपने spouse को sponsor कर रहे हैं, parents को कर रहे हैं, किसी orphan भले आप अपने spouse को sponsor कर रहे हैं, parents को कर रहे हैं, किसी orphan relative को कर रहे हैं, this sponsorship application needs to be signed. So the very first question on it is that if I am found ineligible, what do I want to do? Do I want to stop and withdraw the sponsorship or do I want to proceed? So somebody has asked the question, why is that question there? अगर मैं एक eligible नहीं हूँ sponsor करने के लिए, तो why would I want to proceed? It's a very intelligent question and I'm very thankful for the viewer who did pose this question. As you know, I love talking about immigration, so sit back and you're going to hear a small lesson about immigration. Immigration की जो sponsorship का portion है, it's a 2-part portion. One is the sponsor's eligibility, which takes place within Canada. So जब sponsorship application submit होती है to IRCC के case processing center में, चाहे वो मिसिसागा में हो, चाहे CPC सिडनी में हो, तो यहाँ पे in Canada sponsor की eligibility assess होती है. An officer does not take a decision on the file. This is very important और आगे आपको पता चलेगा कि क्यों important है. So once the sponsor's eligibility is met or not met, the officer goes back to the application form. What does the sponsor want? So if you choose that you want to withdraw the sponsorship if I'm not eligible, तो आपको $75 डिडक्ट हो के आपको फीस भी वापस मिल जाएगी, आपको पूरे का पूरा पैकेज वापस मिल जाएगा और आपकी एप्लीकेशन रिफ्यूज़ नहीं होगी. ठीक? बट इफ़ यू चूज़ टू प्रोसीड इवन दो स्पॉन्सर इज़ नॉट एलिजिबल, तो फाइल इज़ सेंट टू द वीज़ा ऑफिस, रिस्पॉन्सिबल वीज़ा ऑफिस फॉर ऑनवर्ड प्रोसेसिंग. इसका क्या फ़ायदा फ़रियाल? आप लोग सोच रहे होंगे व्हाट इज़ द पॉइंट? अगर हम स्पॉन्सर एलिजिबल नहीं है, देयर इज़ अ पॉइंट एंड द पॉइंट इज़ कि वीज़ा ऑफिस वीज़ा ऑफिस पे जो ऑफिसर है, he or she will take a decision on the file. If they choose, they may apply humanitarian compassionate considerations and they may even approve the case, which is rare क्योंकि अगर sponsor eligible नहीं है तो the officer will most likely refuse the file, which is fine. Why? Because you're the sponsor and you will have the right to appeal that decision. And that appeal process is very important. Because you are a sponsor, you have the right to appeal. सो वो एप्लीकेशन वीज़ा ऑफिस से रिफ्यूज़ होकर आपके पास आएगी वापस, एंड देन यू कैन अपील दैट डिसीजन. सो टू अवेल दैट अपील प्रोसेस, द एप्लीकेशन मस्ट बी रिफ्यूज्ड फर्स्ट. So this is why that first question, I always encourage my clients that proceed. Even if you are ineligible, proceed, because you never know. Things might change. By the time the officer takes a decision, उस वक्त आपके हालात change हो सकते हैं. Even though regulation जो है वो technically यही कहती है कि आपको requirements meet करनी है जिस दिन application submit होती है. But humanitarian compassionate grounds can, सारे गुनाह माफ़ कर देता है. सो हो सकता है कि एप्लीकेशन का डिसीजन करते वक्त अगर आप ह्यूमैनिटेरियन कंपैशनेट ग्राउंड्स की रिक्वेस्ट करें तो इट माइट बी अप्रूव्ड, बट यू कैन ओनली डू दैट इन फ्रंट ऑफ एन इमिग्रेशन ऑफिसर एंड नॉट एट द केस प्रोसेसिंग सेंटर्स विद इन कैनेडा. तो थोड़ा सा टेक्निकल होता जा रहा है. आई फुली अप्रिशिएट दैट. माई नेम इज़ फराल हुसैन. माई नंबर शुड बी अपीयरिंग ऑन द स्क्रीन. इफ इट्स नॉट, इट विल सून. प्लीज़ टेक इट डाउन and call me if this is not clear, because this is a very technical question and clarity is very important. The next question is very simple, and मैंने बहुत दफ़ा देखा है, सैकड़ों दफ़ा, not 10 times, hundreds of times this issue. Simple question. I don't have a divorce certificate for my first marriage and I have remarried. Please help. Well, if you chose to get remarried, then I can't help. Now we need to figure out how to bring your second spouse here. I think that's the issue. Again, ये issue मैंने बहुत दफ़ा देखा है कि it's not that they don't have a divorce certificate, it's not a legally valid divorce certificate. So coming back, अगर आपने शो का पहला पार्ट देखा होता फैमिली क्लास का, the divorce has to be legally valid where it takes place. तो अगर आपकी डिवोर्स इंडिया में हुई है तो इंडियन लॉ के मुताबिक आपकी डिवोर्स जो है वो लीगली वैलिड होनी चाहिए. अगर आपकी डिवोर्स यूएस में हुई है, नो मैटर आप कहाँ से बिलोंग करते हैं, नो मैटर आपका क्या रिलीजन है, no matter आपका क्या कल्चरल बैकग्राउंड है, your divorce has to be legally valid in the US. Same thing, if your divorce took place in Pakistan, तो पाकिस्तान के लॉ के मुताबिक आपकी डिवोर्स को लीगली वैलिड होना चाहिए. अगर ऐसा नहीं हुआ फॉर whatever reason, और ज़्यादातर वो रीज़न होती है, I don't want to say, but मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन की वजह से या इनकम्प्लीट इन्फॉर्मेशन की वजह से डिवोर्स का प्रोसेस नहीं कंप्लीट हुआ और री मैरिज हो गई है, what to do then? The easy answer is put in an application and then just wait for the refusal, because that's what's going to happen. Most likely that's what's going to happen. But there are ways around it. Not in 100% of the cases, but in some of the cases. I've had 2 or 3 cases approved in which एक marriage के होते हुए दूसरी marriage की गई थी और वो case approve हो गया. So if आप ऐसे किसी predicament में हैं, या if you know somebody who's in that predicament, contact me and I might be able to help them. Third question. I want to adopt my niece, nephew, can I? That's a good question, but the question would be, why are you adopting them? Why would their parents let you adopt them? So there are a lot of factors. This is not a very simple question. Adoption is very critical. पाकिस्तान से मुस्लिम्स के लिए adoptions के laws नहीं हैं, non-Muslims के लिए हैं. Adoption itself के 2 categories हैं immigration में. A child that is adopted in the country or a child to be adopted in Canada. So there's a lot of technicalities. तो इतने छोटे सवाल का मेरे पास इस वक्त कोई जवाब नहीं है, because there are so many factors that will determine the answer. But the main question is, why are you wanting to adopt, number 1, and why adopt your niece or nephew? Number 2, is this an adoption of convenience? That's the main question that the officer is going to be looking at. कि आप adoption जो है वो इस वजह से नहीं कर रहे कि आपका niece or nephew Canada आ सके. I know it seems very straightforward, it seems very blunt, but that's what the officer is going to look at. Adoption of convenience. Same way जैसे marriage of convenience होता है, वैसे adoption of convenience भी होता है. Any relationship that's formed for the convenience of immigration, वो application का result आपके हक में होना थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है. ठीक है, अब आप थोड़ा सा वेट कीजिए, चाय ले आइए, bring a pen and paper, because I'm going to answer a lot more questions and we have to take a short break. We'll be right back.
की शम्मा की सूरत हो खुदाया मेरी।
मुस्लिम वेलफेयर सेंटर के जरिए आप पाकिस्तान के रेगिस्तान में प्यासों को पानी पिला सकते हैं, गरीब बच्चों की तालीम और माली परवरिश कर सकते हैं, बीमारों का मुफ्त इलाज करवा सकते हैं। ज़कात, सदक़ात या फिदिया देने के लिए आज ही हमें फ़ोन करें 1-866-754-3111।
Welcome back to the show, and I hope that you're enjoying these very interesting questions that people have asked. And who knows, आपके लिए भी शायद मददगार साबित हो सके. मददगार, yeah, I know it's a big word, but कभी-कभी मैं बोल भी देती हूँ. My wife is due to appear in an interview. Do I have to go? Well, I guess to go mean to the visa office. Should I go? Can I insist on being present at the interview? You don't have to go. आपको जाना ज़रूरी नहीं है, क्योंकि इंटरव्यू लेटर को अगर गौर से पढ़ें, असल में इंटरव्यू रिक्वेस्ट लेटर जब आता है तो क्या होता है, परेशानी लग जाती है. ओ इंटरव्यू आ गया, व्हाट डू आई डू. एंड इससे काफ़ी से 2-page लेटर, 2.5-page लेटर, काफ़ी डिटेल्स होती हैं. उसमें से एक डिटेल ये होती है कि आपके स्पॉन्सर जो हैं, मेक श्योर ही और शी इज़ अवेलेबल बिकॉज वी मे कॉल देम इफ़ देर इन कैनेडा, एंड मेक श्योर यू गिव अस देयर फ़ोन नंबर. तो फ़ोन पे बात होनी होती है, तो आपका जाना अशा ज़रूरी नहीं है. बट अगर आपको फील होता है कि आपने पाकिस्तान का या इंडिया का या जो आपका होम कंट्री आपने चक्कर लगाना ही था, तो इफ़ यू गो इट जस्ट शोज अ लिटिल मोर एफर्ट ऑन योर पार्ट, बट देयर इज़ नो एज सच रिक्वायरमेंट फॉर यू टू गो, एंड यू कैंट रियली इंसिस्ट दैट यू वांट टू बी इन द इंटरव्यू, क्योंकि इंटरव्यू आपका तो हो नहीं रहा, आपके एप्लीकेंट का हो रहा है, आपके स्पाउस का हो रहा है. बट मेक श्योर दैट योर स्पाउस रीड्स द होल एप्लीकेशन दैट यू सेंट, because he or she may not remember, may not recall. So it's very important that they know exactly what's in the application. My son is 21 years old. Can I sponsor him? He is a student. Well, yes, but that's not the only criteria. He is a student, but also he has to be not a spouse. That's very important, which means that he needs to be less than 22 years of age on the date that the application is submitted, and he should not be a spouse or a common law partner. So which means he can be divorced or a widower, but he should not be a spouse. Also, if he's 21 years old now, 21 years old and समझे 8 months, 10 months, what happens? 22 के तो होने वाले हैं. Application processing के दौरान वो 22 के हो जाएंगे. Will he still be a dependent? The answer is yes. That should have been the part 2 of the question, कि उनकी एज अगर 22 हो गई तो क्या वो स्पॉन्सरशिप की एप्लीकेशन कंटिन्यू रहेगी? एंड द आंसर इज़ येस, बिकॉज द एज गेट्स लॉक्ड इन द डे द एप्लीकेशन इज रिसीव्ड एट द केस प्रोसेसिंग सेंटर. I had the chance of assisting someone with their daughter's application. वो 21 years, 11 months and 1 week की हो चुकी थी. We only had 3 weeks, just 3 weeks to prepare and submit the sponsorship application. और sponsorship application उनके 22 होने के 2 दिन पहले submit हो चुकी थी, and now she's here a permanent resident. So as I always say, knowledge is power. So know what the law is and then see if it can be applied in your favor. Next question, again a very simple question, and it has a very simple answer. I'm a Canadian citizen living outside Canada. Can I sponsor my spouse and child? I think a lot of people know the answer to this, but very recently I had somebody contact me, and she had just traveled to Canada with her 4 children so that she can sponsor her spouse who's back home. And my first question was, why did you come? आप वहीं रह के sponsor कर सकती थी because you're a Canadian citizen. And she said, I didn't know, and I felt really bad कि इतनी सिंपल सी चीज़ आमतौर पे लोगों को नहीं पता होती. आप खुद इमेजिन कीजिए, They have a 9-month-old child, and the other children are 7, 8, and 10 apparently. So with these 4 children, itne paise raise karke she's come from the home country just to sponsor her husband, which she could have done apne home country mein rehte hue. So if you don't know something, or if you have a question, you can go to my website, you can post a question, you can call the studio and they will bring the question to me. You can post a question on Facebook so other people can benefit as well. But don't jump the gun. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. So lihaza aap na just go directly to the source, go to canada.ca, go to one of the licensed consultants, because hopefully they have the updated information. But ye regulation, a Canadian citizen can sponsor a spouse and or a child even while they're not in Canada. It's a very old regulation. So a lot of people didn't know that. I was kind of upset that this lady had to travel here just because she didn't know. So the answer to the question is yes, you can sponsor, but you cannot sponsor your parents. So अगर कोई spouse है तो वो अपने parents को sponsor करना चाह रहे हैं और उनकी invitation भी आ गई है, but they are Canadian citizens but not living in Canada, you cannot. You can only sponsor your spouse and children. Why? It goes back to family reunification. इतनी leeway, इतनी relaxation क्यों दी गई है? Just to ensure that the family remains united while the application is being processed. My sister is receiving ODSP for several years and she's gotten married. Can she sponsor? Again, this is a question that has come to me many times, that ODSP lete hue, and what ODSP in Ontario, the Ontario Disability Support Program is called ODSP. I guess it has different acronyms for the different provinces. But basically, if you are receiving assistance from the government because of a disability, that itself is not a bar from sponsorship. ये आपको sponsorship से रोक नहीं सकता अगर आपकी किसी disability की वजह से आप government से assistance ले रहे हैं, ठीक? Because bar जो है, that is the sponsor should not be receiving social assistance for any reason other than disability. So which means कि अगर आप mat leave ले रहे हैं, paternity leave ले रहे हैं, आपकी EI चल रही है, all this is not considered social assistance, which means you can still sponsor. But इसमें एक technicality आ जाती है, and technicality ये है कि A39 regulation A39 IRPA की is a regulation that states the inadmissibility due to finances, which means आप किसी को sponsor कर रहे हैं, आप अपने spouse को sponsor कर रहे हैं, आप ODSP पे हैं या आप mat leave पे हैं या आप EI पे हैं, officer can still refuse. Sponsor is not barred from sponsoring, but the officer may still refuse if he or she feels कि जो applicant है, foreign national है, वो जब visa लेके Canada आएंगे तो उनकी look after के लिए आपके पास enough funds नहीं होंगे. Regulation A39 लिख लीजिए, you can look it up or you can call me and I can help you with this. But A39, that's exactly what it states. Arrangements for care and support in Canada without recourse to welfare. So if someone's receiving ODSP, EI, mat leave, paternity leave, and they don't have sufficient savings in Canada, iska kya hal hai? Like, can they not sponsor their spouse? They definitely can because they're not barred. लेकिन उस एप्लीकेशन को एक पर्टिकुलर तरीके से सबमिट करना चाहिए, पर्टिकुलर एविडेंसेस सबमिट करने चाहिए कि when that foreign national becomes a permanent resident, when they come to Canada to become a permanent resident, इतने funds होंगे या होने चाहिए या उनके पास access है कि they will not recourse to Canadian social services. So the application has to be done in a very delicate manner. Evidences have to be submitted of funds available in the home country or in Canada. If you are in this kind of a situation, or if you know someone who's thinking of sponsoring their spouse but they're on the fence, करना चाहिए नहीं करना चाहिए, बैंक में पैसे होने चाहिए नहीं होने चाहिए, जॉब होनी चाहिए कि नहीं होनी चाहिए, I've heard it so many times. नहीं मेरे पास जॉब नहीं है, मैं अपने हस्बैंड को स्पॉन्सर नहीं कर सकती. भाई आपको किसने क्या दिया आप नहीं कर सकते? You can, but एप्लीकेशन को कैसे सबमिट करना है उसका एक प्रॉपर तरीका है कि आपके पास जॉब नहीं है, you're not earning money because you're going to school, you're going to university, or you're in between jobs for whatever reason, but आपका spouse जो है, he's bringing money in, he's educated, he has very good English, he could be employable upon arrival. वो सारे evidences file के साथ लगाने होंगे. I'm telling you all this not as a consultant, but also as a former immigration officer. This is very critical information that you are getting free of cost. You're just turning on the TV, watching your show, drinking tea, coffee, water. And this information might be helpful to you or even somebody else. So ODSP is not a bar. ODSP, EI, mat leave, paternity leave is not a bar from sponsorship. Bar का मतलब होता है कि आप sponsor नहीं कर सकते. The only thing that you can not, the only thing that you can receive and not sponsor is social assistance. ठीक? I don't work, but I want to sponsor my. There you go. The question is here now. I don't work, but I want to sponsor my husband. I don't have kids. But you mentioned that having kids means the application will be approved. I don't recall ever saying this in one of my shows. If I did, I misspoke. Having kids does not mean your application will be approved. Please hear me out. इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि if you have kids, application is automatic approval. ऐसा नहीं है. I've seen applications being refused even when the couple had 1 or 2 children. So don't think that having kids is an automatic acceptance. But I don't work and I want to sponsor my husband and I don't have children. Again, going back to the answer of the first question, is that even if you're not working, if you're not earning money, probably your husband has savings that he plans to bring, has skills that are going to be helpful in finding employment here, or he has a business background that he can come here and do a business because he's coming as a permanent resident. So you have to submit all those evidences with your application, then कोई issue नहीं होना चाहिए. So you should know what the issue is and how to address the issue. There are a few more questions, but I think we're out of time for today. I do hope that you're looking forward to part 3 because I am. I have tons of information more to give free of cost. So I hope you have a great week and see you next week for part 3 of Family Class Sponsorships. Bye.